and welcome to Channel 1's Sports Tonight. Tonight we will be reporting on how sports people behaving badly has bad influences on the ethics of young Australians. Many people would agree that sporting legends like Shane Warne and Pat Rafter are both role models in their respective areas, but that they are both widely different. For instance, tennis player Pat Rafter is a natural role model who always lives his life by example, but Shane Warne is not. Cricketing legend Shane Warne is renowned for his deceptive and cheating ways. He is a bad influence on the Australian public, especially his younger fans who look up to him. Since 2005, he has had an on-off relationship with Simone Callaghan due to his cheating on her on more than one occasion. He is also known for being associated with bookmakers using diuretics, which are used to flush the human body of illegal or banned substances, and abusing alcohol. Two-time US Open winner Pat Rafter, on the other hand, has never been mixed up in such things as drug taking, alcohol abuse, partner disloyalty, or bookmaking. He has led by example in the sporting world and even been described as a true gentleman and one of the nice guys of tennis. If all sporting role models were like Pat, Australia would be a different place. But the truth is, they aren't. This increasing trend of sports stars behaving badly is becoming ridiculous and out of control. If the matter isn't dealt with soon, their behaviour will start to be thought of as acceptable by young Australians, and they will start to follow in their footsteps of warped ethics for generations to come. The contrast between the two athletes is vast and somewhat disappointing. Why is it so difficult to find an athlete capable of reaching such high standards of sport and also being able to be an adequate role model? Some might say this is somewhat of a domino effect in that by young people watching and growing up with sports stars behaving in such a poor manner, they themselves have grown up to behave in much the same way. Stopping the seemingly never-ending cycle would be difficult because most teams do put their best athletes forward in order to win premierships, whether their behaviour is up to scratch or not. It is also fair to say that every young boy and girl who watches the cricket has looked up to Shane Warne at one stage in their life. After all, he's called a role model for a reason. But do we really want the next generation of Australians to be dope-taking, wife-cheating liars? No. Seeing as Australia is a country in love with cricket, many hot afternoons are spent watching the cricket by youths, and in turn by them looking up to the players as their role models, whether they be good role models or bad role models. So is having someone like Shane Warne on the telly all the time really such a good idea? After all, in 2000 he was stripped of his vice-captaincy of the Australian side. So how can we stop the cycle? The Cricketing Code of Conduct is one way to battle the situation head-on. The code states that gentlemanly conduct is expected from all players. There is also varying levels of break of conduct with varying levels of suitable punishment for each level of offence. But the code is only applicable for players under contract or players who are part of a team, not for retired players like both Shane Warne and Pat Rafter, who, in especially Warne's case, are both very much a part of the media and constantly in news headlines. In saying all this, you have to think of the players in question, because the reality is, when they were growing up, most of them aspired to be sports stars, not role models. They dreamt of being rich and famous, but not virtuous in the way we expect them to be. This was brought to light by the infamous, "I just want to be remembered as a sportsman, a good footballer, nothing more, nothing less," said by footballer Chris Judd. But then again, by agreeing to represent their districts, teams or countries and receiving the large income that goes hand in hand with it, they should behave themselves by showing good ethics in not breaking the rules of their respective sports. Players should also show respect to their teams by not gambling against themselves in matches or agreeing not to fix matches. This corruption has set bad examples for the young men and women who look up to players and aspire to be like them. It is teaching them gamesmanship and that cheating is okay. Gamesmanship takes away from sport and no doubt teaches its fans that gamesmanship is acceptable when it so grossly is not. It is an ethical dilemma that has been around for a while now because we do want to do well internationally in sport, but we want our athletes to be good role models as well. People like Pat Rafter are almost a 1 in a million find. The actions of sports people greatly affects youths and influences them. By sports stars showing bad ethical decisions and being bad role models, they inspire young people away from good ethical decisions and responsible lifestyles.